Everything is source having a human experience. What's up, everyone? I'm Ashley Smashley. On this channel, we talk all things spiritual awakening and being on the divine path to unlock your infinite potential. If you are new here, smash that like button, subscribe, and leave me a comment below. All right, let's get into this. All right. Yesterday, I was confused and I was trying to wrap my mind around something and I just let it go. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm source being confused right now. I'm just source appearing as my character confused. So that was helpful to me. And another thing that I've been implementing is to remind myself that everyone else is just source having a human experience right now, appearing on the screen of your consciousness within this illusion of the human experience. No matter what someone is doing, no matter what state of consciousness they're in, that is source pretending to be a human. And this can be very helpful because recently I've had a couple experiences in which I was trying to figure out how people in the victim perspective think that people with more expanded states of consciousness that don't validate victimhood, they have said it's a bypass. You're bypassing. I tried to ask two different people what they meant by that, and they weren't able to answer my question without passive aggressively insulting me. And so I didn't get an answer. But then someone else came and answered my question. And they're saying it's a bypass because part of the expansion of source into source consciousness are these humans who still think they're a human, who still think the illusion is real, who still perceive themselves as victims, who still perceive that they are suffering. And there's like real victimizer things going on here. And I used to think like that too, but it's hard to remember that perspective when you have woken up from the dream and you no longer know, or you know that it's no longer real. It's really hard to remember what it's like to be a human on earth, still perceiving there to be others victimizing you, or that this like huge attachment to your emotional reactions in which you think you're suffering. There's a point where you transcend that. And it's really hard to remember what that perspective is like. So some would say that people are bypassing. And I can kind of see now where they're coming from with that statement. So how we can navigate this from a higher state of consciousness is by understanding that is source having a human experience in which they still think they're a human, in which they still think they're a victim, in which they still think they are suffering. And we can send them love and compassion from the more expanded state because we know they're not actually suffering. We know that it's not real. We know that they're eternal. But we don't have to like feed the suffering by focusing our energy and attention on it. Like there are a lot of people out there that are really hyper fixated on a lot of the negative things that are going on in the world. And they're really suffering along with those people. And they think that that makes them a better person because they have compassion and empathy for these people that are suffering. What they don't realize is that they're placing themselves on a pedestal, the good person validation pedestal. And this is something I realized I was doing too. You look at everyone that you think is bad or wrong, and you judge them as being a bad person so that you can mentally validate yourself and put yourself on a pedestal as a good person. And you'll see this in narcissists, right? They're always going around trying to validate how good of a person they are to put on a show. It's for validation purposes only, for perception management. But then there are people who genuinely have good intentions and want to help other people while still having this aspect of this need for good person validation. All right. It's all God appearing. But this is how we can better understand what's going on here. And I know because I went through this. I still do this. We all do this. Before you actually fully accept and integrate the evil and all the darkness that is within yourself, because we are all one. There's nothing outside of you. Everything that goes on this planet is you appearing in form. So until we can accept that about ourselves, we have repressed darkness and evil within us that we run around trying to validate with being a good person. And I just did this recently. I sold my vehicle, and before I sold the vehicle, I put gas in the car because I did not want to give the vehicle to somebody with less than a quarter tank of gas. So I texted them that I'm putting gas in the car for you. And like, I genuinely wanted to share that. But also, I realized I was like, oh, I'm such a good person. I needed that validation. Right. And it's okay to admit this. It's okay to admit in real time with your awareness when you are seeking validation. It's everything, like humans do it. Okay. It's not anything that's bad or wrong or something that we need to be in denial of. When we accept it as part of the human experience, that's when we can become aware and integrate it. If you're still in denial of it, then, and you just like don't want to own up to it or you don't want to look at it, then that's just going to keep you stuck in these cycles of needing external validation all the time and validating yourself as a good person because you choose to suffer along with others that are suffering. But what we must understand from the people, when you've surpassed or that threshold, crossed the threshold of knowing that we're all one and we're here to usher in new earth and that everything is within, the outside world is a reflection of your internal world, we must shift ourselves into the new earth timeline, the new earth perspective. And sitting in suffering for others, while it might look like you're doing good, you're actually focusing your energy and attention on suffering, which is feeding the old earth timelines and keeping them intact, which is exactly what they want. They need our energy and attention to manifest their timelines for them. So while you think you're doing good by focusing your energy and attention only on suffering and victimhood, you are perpetuating these old earth timelines instead of sending love and compassion, not from a place of judgment, not from a place of thinking it's wrong or bad, understanding that's where they're at along their journey. They're perfect for where they're at along their journey. But I choose new earth. I choose to focus my energy and attention on doing my own inner work so the outer world becomes a reflection of that. And not only when you focus your energy and attention on suffering and victimhood, guess what frequency you're emitting? I'm suffering. I'm in victimhood. So you're going to attract, well, we don't attract, right? What will appear on the screen of your consciousness are more experience in which you are victimized. You perceive that you are victimized and you will suffer because that's the frequency you're emitting to the universe. So understand that there are certain people here that are in the state of shifting into these new earth timelines by doing their own inner process first, not hyperfixating on the old earth timelines of pain and suffering and victimhood. There are billions of other people who can validate victimhood through the human perspective. So while if you come across someone in your physical experience, we can send them love and compassion and choose new earth and let them go seek validation of their victimhood elsewhere. All right. We have a duty to usher in new earth. And if you're able to have like a mature discussion with somebody about these topics if you just don't see eye to eye on things. Like recently, one of my regular loyal viewers and I had a bit of a disagreement on a topic. He made a comment. I told him to email me. We engaged in a conversation back and forth where there were no insults, no aggressive communication, no passive aggressive insults or comments. It was a genuine desire to communicate effectively, to understand each other, and we came to a mutual resolution. That's how two mature people have a conversation in which they disagree. But when you're in disagreement with somebody and they're still very immature, they will get an attitude. They will make passive aggressive comments. They'll insult you. Or if you know them personally, they'll bring up something personal about you to throw it in your face to try to like shame you or make you feel bad. When those types of manipulation tactics come up in a conversation, let that person go. Like they're trying to manipulate your energy and bring you down to a lower frequency by attacking you, whether that be aggressively or passive aggressively, because they can't have a mature conversation when they're triggered. So see them as source. That's source having an emotional reaction in which they aren't aware that they're source and they're attacking, or I'm not a victim, right? I was witnessing this as an observer. We don't point blame anymore, right? This is all appearing for a reason, as a reflection. And I used to be like that, right? So when these things come up, if somebody, like, you're having a trying to have a mature conversation with somebody and they're not responding in a mature way, these things are reflections. They're showing up as reflections, as unaccepted aspects of yourself. Whether that be a past version of yourself in this life, right? I used to be extremely toxic and immature. So when you see this, instead of judging or, getting like argumentative or engaging in that immature type of conversation where you're insulting and passive aggressive, what we can do is just send them love and let them go. And let them go along their own journey to to engage with people who are more in their level of consciousness and emotional maturity. Because the people that are here for a mission, we don't have time to be around people who are intentionally trying to tear you down. Right? We, the new earth leaders, the people who are in more expanded states of consciousness, are intentionally trying to pull people up. Right? We want them to expand their consciousness. We want them to stop suffering. We want them to be able to process and release their emotional energy so that they can raise their frequency and get on the new earth timeline with us. But not everyone's ready to come. All right, but see them as source. Everyone is source appearing, no matter where they're at in their consciousness, no matter where they're at in their spiritual maturity, no matter where they're at in their emotional maturity. That is source appearing and having a human experience. So we can send them love and compassion and keep it moving and keep a trucking along your divine path to unlock your infinite potential. If you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video.